Alright, in this brief video, I want to discuss how to mount a microscope objective to the Canon 200mm lens. This 200mm lens represents the tube lens in a microscope. It's a 200mm focal length lens. It's an absolutely beautiful lens. There's a couple of settings that are important for you to note. It has to be on manual focus and not autofocus. I keep the spread, it's 1.5 meters to infinity. This lens must always be operated with the focus set to infinity. That's all the way at the end, not anywhere in between, but it always has to be set to infinity. Otherwise it won't be a true measurement. It won't be the true 200mm lens. And it also must always be shot wide open at f2.8. It never changes. There's no f-stops on this. The aperture of the microscope objective is your only f-stop. So that being said, and that's in your documentation, so you just do the same one every single time. Now to put these microscope objectives on, it's pretty simple. If you remove the front lens cap of this lens, you'll see it has a specially threaded aluminum fixture that is going to accept the Mitutoyo microscope objective. These objectives from Japan say, do not fall or drop. The performance may deteriorate. They're not kidding. If you drop these objectives hard on a surface, you can knock them out of alignment. You can have a blurry picture or a double picture, and they are more expensive to repair than they are to replace, and they're not cheap, so don't drop them. So when you unscrew them, take your time. They squeak a little bit because it's plastic on plastic. All right. The bottoms of these are, it's a bronze threaded base on a metal objective. So you don't want to over tighten them when you put it away, otherwise you won't get it out. So I'm unthreading it. I like to work with my lens in this position. I let the weight of the objective find its home, and I just gently screw it in. I'm not, this way I'm not setting it up to where I'm trying to screw it up into the camera. Now when you screw these down, you don't want to over tighten them onto this adapter either. You want to screw it in just till it stops. That's it. It is set to be just a couple thousandths of an inch off the lens. That's normal, but you just don't want to over tighten it. Now to mount it to the camera, it's just like every other Canon lens. Make sure the camera is off. I'm going to remove my body cap. Notice I have nothing underneath it. I'm going to remove the rear lens cover to my lens, and I note the red dot. It's facing me. It's going to line up with the red dot on the camera body. I'm supporting this around here, not on the front of the objective. I simply line it up to the camera and then turn it until I hear the click. That's it. It's locked into place. That's all there is to mounting a microscope on this camera. Now, when you've got this, now check to make sure that I didn't move anything. It's set to infinity. That's very important. Check to make sure you're set to infinity focus. The way you're going to focus this lens is by moving it up and down relative to your subject. It's called proximity focusing. You're not focusing it with this lens. Don't even think about it. Now, I'm going to put my background, my piece up there. What I'm going to do is, I had mentioned before that I could use my screw-in post on a gray background. I could use, put on black background, whatever I want. I want gray on this, but I'm going to do a different technique this time. I'm just going to take a simple little pillar of wax and stick it on my Pantone neutral gray back. I'm going to grab one of my larger flies here, and I'm going to position it to where I'm going to photograph the side of its eye. So what I'll do, I'll set it in here. Now I'm going to do this so you can see it. I'll support it with my finger so I'm not being, try not to poke my finger, but I can put it far into the wax. Now you can see how that's set up. I can angle this to where I need it. I can rotate it to where I want it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stereoscope, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on the stage of my stereo microscope, and I'm going to rotate this and set it up until I get just the view I want. Then I'm going to put it under here and I'm going to find my spot. So if this were, just to give you an idea, if this were approximately where I was going to be, I know two things. One, I'm going to want to use my bellows diffuser to reduce highlights. So before I get too close to this, I'm going to lay the bellows diffuser down on my base plate so I'm not having to try and get it out away from the microscope objective. Now this has a short working distance, a relatively short working distance. It's about 30 millimeter working distance. So I know I've got to get my copy stand a lot closer than this. So I'm going to get it somewhere in that area as a starting point, and then I'll put on my live view. All right, we're into capture one. I'm going to turn on live view now to look at that fly under the microscope. Well, we see something here. I'm not quite sure where I'm at with this, so I'm going to move my lift up or down. There's up. There's a face only a mother can love right there, I tell you what. Why don't we do something interesting like about that right there. All right, now you see all these spectral highlights, how it's really a very harsh light. That's because I haven't pulled the diffuser up over it yet. So before I do anything else, I'm going to pull my diffuser up over the camera to give myself a nice soft light. Then I'll take a test shot and see where we are. There we are. All right. Okay. Now I'll focus on something like in this area. So I'll take my up and down movement on my lift, on my electronic rail. Well, a little too far down. I need to bring it up. Okay, so we're somewhere in here. I'm going to close this out. I am going to take a shot with this. Let's see, where are we right now? We're at 4.8. And I turned off my modeling lamps. Make sure live view is off. Okay, I'm going to take a shot. Well, that's underexposed. I'd like to bring this histogram a little to the right. 4.8, I'd like to bring it up at least a half a stop. Let me try around 5.2, 5.3. So here's 5.2. See where we are. I'll take another shot. When I say 5.2, that's the power setting on the remote that it's setting both the flash heads to. Okay, that's 5.2. That's quite nice, actually. My highlights are not overblown. Let's take a look. Okay. Those are the facets of the eye. I've got some nice highlights on those. I'm not overblown on these highlights. All right, maybe I'll go to 5.3. All right, there's 5.3. One more quick shot. 5.2, 5.3. It's negligible, but I'll take it. All right, so I'm going to get rid of these two that I don't need anymore by selecting them and hitting my MX10, delete all. Oops, wrong button. Don't hit delete all, just hit delete. Okay, so this is the one I want to do a white balance on. So I grab my white balance picker and I click the bottom, and that sets the white balance. Now it's color accurate. Now I hit my regular delete key, and the white balance has been saved in memory.
so I don't have a bunch of extra thumbnails up here to have to deal with once I've collected all my shots. So now I need to determine the top and bottom. So I'll put on live view. I'm going to turn on the modeling lamps. Okay. I'm going to go find my lowest point first. I want to get down, you know, into this part of the head here behind the eyes. Okay, I'm seeing, I want to get this in focus. Okay. So maybe a hair more. Okay. That's about it right there, right to the end there. I'll say stop here. Now I have to find the top. I'm going to bring it up. What do we got? Okay, I see this big CD coming into focus. I want to get that into focus. Ooh, look at that. Wow, look at the striations on that. Even in the video, you can see that. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more. Okay, that where that spectral highlight came in right here is where I want to catch it. So I'm going to go back down. Now I'm going the opposite way down, and now I'm going to find my spot that I want to start. See that spectral highlight coming in right in here? That's going to be my starting point. So I'm going to get down there, right there. Okay, so that's where I want to start. So I'm going to say start here. It's just a matter of identifying those points and making sure, again, that when you're, especially on the high mag, you go, when you're doing your top point, you go beyond the spot you need and then come back down onto it. So that way the motor is not changing directions on your first shot. It's not positioned to go up and then has to be told to go all the way down. So that way, if there's any back travel in the lead screw, you've mitigated it completely by doing this. Okay. So we've got our bottom set and our top set, and it's telling me 83 steps. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's going to be 84 shots. Because the first shot, it doesn't step. It just takes a shot, then it makes a step. So if it says 83 steps, it's going to be 84 shots. That's a lot of shots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this out. I'm going to do a very thorough, I'm going to turn off my modeling lamps. And I'm going to do a quick kind of a run through. All right. I've checked the settings on my flash heads. They're correct. My diffuser's in position. My focus is set to infinity on my lens because that's absolutely critical. This is at f2.8. That's also very critical. I've got my mag set correctly at 10x because that's the objective I'm using. That's it. So we are good to go. So I'm going to hit start, and we'll start this cycle moving, and then I will fast forward to the end, and once we get them all set up, and we'll go through them. Here goes. All right, we have all 84 images in here. Here's our last one. You can see we're down to here. As we start to cycle up the stack, you can see the focal point plane shifting up all the way up the eye. Wrap this up a little bit higher. Yep, right up in here. So we've got everything. What we're going to do is we're going to click on one of these, and then I'm going to hit MX7, which is select all. And then I'm going to export MX8, and I'm going to make a subfolder, and I will call it, how about I call it Fly Eye. And then I will copy that, Control C. I'm going to use that as my image name, Control V, and I'm going to put underscore 10x Mitutoyo, MIT. Okay, and I'm going to process everything. This is 84 143 meg images. That's a lot. Okay, I'm going to reduce that. While we're waiting for that, you can see down here on the bottom of your taskbar, you've got a growing little, like a fuel gauge. It's green, and as it progresses, it gives you an idea of the status of your export. When it's all done, this little green block will fill the bottom, and it'll stop. So I'm going to start up Helicon, and I'm going to go into our folder. Now you can also, in your primary image drive, capture one. I have my folder. I can go to my output folder, right click it, and go send to desktop, create a shortcut, and I'll show you what that does. Okay, so here's my output folder, and I'm going to name it, I'll just call it Roy's Output. Okay. So now, as you capture one, it's, where the hell is it? Yeah, it's all done here. So this way, if I have a shortcut on my folder, on my desktop, I can just double click it, go to the folder I'm interested in, select everything, drag and drop it right to Helicon. I don't have to go through a whole series of selecting the drive, going into Capture One folder, finding my session, opening my output folder. It's here on the desktop. I'm going to hit render and go through the long and laborious process of waiting for Helicon to stack this image. So there's 84 images, and we're done in about 16 seconds. Okay, so here we are, we're done. You can take your normal mouse click. Of course, you can change the mag on this window, but you can do your normal mouse click and hold it and then drag it to any given point just to look at areas. If you want to check something specific, you go up in here and you look around. Okay, so I'm going to go File, Save, and it throws me back to the folder I took them from. So I'm going to grab one of these images, and I'm going to do what I always do. I will change the last 3 points to comp, and I'm going to put comp H for Helicon, and I'm going to save it without compression, straight up. There you go. And then we're going to open it up in Photoshop. Now this one I'll definitely want to throw some shadow highlights on because I underexposed it a little bit, because I don't want to blow those little fine seedy out that were by the face. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go into Fly Eye, and I will take this one. Alright, now I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, go to Shadow Highlights. I don't want that much, but I'm going to do some... See, that brings up some of the shadows, some of the detail in this area, which is really nice. See how that does that? Now I want to get my highlights down a bit, especially those hairs. Now this will give me the preview. That's without anything, and that's with the adjustment. It's a minor adjustment, but I really like it. It brings up some of the detail in these dark spots. Okay. Control-Alt-0 will give me 100%. I'll grab my hand, and I can now drag it. Hey, the eyes have it. Look at that sucker. Yep. And that's without sharpening. Now watch what happens when we add... oh, look at that. Look at the striations in that hair. Ooh, I wonder if there's anything on the... Yeah, look at that one. Let's see, this is a funny artifact from stacking. It actually incorporated the bristles on the lower layer over this hair. Now there is a way in Helicon where you edit that. You take that right out. That's not a problem. But I'm going to look at this for a second. Let's go add our sharpening. If we just do F8 and F9. F8 which splits our thing into black and white in color. I completely forgot that F9 is the command that this software uses to kill the recording. Excuse me. So instead of hitting F9, I'm going to go to Actions, and I'm going to go up here to my F9 command and hit play and watch the sharpening go. Boom. Now I'm going to go back to layers, turn my color back on, and I'm good. I'm done. Wow. That is one crispy fly. Now that we got everything nailed where we want it, let's put a scale on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Image, Analysis, and set Measurement Scale. I'm going to pick my 10x Mitutoyo. Then I will go to Image, Analysis, Place Scale Marker. I've chosen my font as Arial. I want my length to be about 0.5 millimeter. I want a relatively good size scale, but I can stick it over here. I'm going to do 24-point font, and I want it black. I'm going to hit OK. So there's my scale. I grab my picker tool up here on the left, and I can drag my scale right there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten the image. I've got all these in layers right now so that I can turn off individual components if I want to. I don't want to. I want to flatten the image. So I'm going to go to Layer, Flatten Image. Okay. We're done. So here is my final image. That's a bit big. Couldn't you Alt Control 0, and it'll fit it to the screen. But there we go. That is a face only a mother can love. That's a beautiful fly shot. Anyway, so I'm going to go File, Save As. So it's my original comp with edits. I'll just say with scale. Save. Okay. We're done. I close this out. Close out Photoshop. I'm going to go back to this program. I'm going to delete everything. I'm going to click on one of my thumbnails in Capture One, hit Delete All. You'll see it go boom, boom, boom. All 84 of them are dusted. They're gone. I'm going to close this thing out. We're good. And I'm going to hit Cancel on this. And I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to hit Quit. We're out of here. I'm actually going to remove this. You don't need that on your desktop. So I'm going to delete the shortcut. I'll empty my garbage bin. And we're good to go. That's all there is to it. All right. That concludes running the 10X on a microscope. I hope you enjoyed it.